Padre Pio knew something about the seven sorrows of Mary that few have ever uncovered. Something he never completely revealed, but he left clues. By the end of this story, you will understand why he lit exactly 7 candles before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows, and why he chose September 15th. There's a hidden secret within this devotion, a secret that could change your life forever. Have you ever felt that in the most difficult moments, when everything seems to fall apart, there's an invisible force protecting you? A presence you can't explain, but you feel it. Our Lady of Sorrows knows this feeling better than anyone. She lived through the 7 greatest sorrows a mother could ever experience, and she transformed each one into a source of protection for her children. But here's what almost no one tells you. The 7 sorrows aren't just sad memories of the past. They are 7 portals of protection that open when you know how to access them. Padre Pio discovered this in a way that will send chills down your spine. It was September of 1916. Padre Pio had just received the stigmata. His hands were bleeding. His soul burned with an inexplicable pain. That night, he couldn't sleep. The physical pain was intense. But the spiritual pain was far worse. He felt as if he were carrying the weight of the entire world. That's when he had a vision. Our Lady appeared before him. But it wasn't the serene Mary of common apparitions. It was Our Lady of Sorrows. Her eyes reflected a depth of suffering that pierced the soul. And she said something that changed everything. Something that took Padre Pio years to fully understand. "My son," she said, "each sorrow I live through transforms into protection for those who invoke me correctly. But there is a specific way to do this, a way that few know." She showed him 7 lit candles before her image, 7 flames dancing in perfect harmony. Each flame represented one of her sorrows. Each sorrow had transformed into light. When my children light 7 candles on September 15th before my image, they will be activating 7 different protections. But they need to know which sorrow corresponds to each candle. Padre Pio woke up with a racing heart. His hands still bled, but something had changed inside him. He had received a revelation. From that day on, every September 15th, he performed a specific ritual. He lit 7 candles before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows. But it wasn't just about lighting candles. It was a sacred process. Each candle was lit with a specific prayer. Each flame invoked a different protection, and the result was always extraordinary. People who followed exactly what Padre Pio did reported inexplicable protections, accidents avoided at the last second, diseases that mysteriously disappeared, family problems that resolved overnight. But what was the secret? Why 7 candles? Why September 15th? And why exactly before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows? The answer lies in Mary's own sorrows. Each of her sorrows corresponds to a specific area of our lives. And when you light a candle for each sorrow, you are asking for protection in each of these areas. Let me explain something that will amaze you. The 7 sorrows of Mary were not chosen by chance. They represent the 7 types of suffering that every human being can face. And when you understand this, you understand why this devotion is so powerful. The first sorrow of Mary was Simeon's prophecy. When she presented Jesus at the temple, the elder said that a sword would pierce her soul. It was the sorrow of anticipation, the suffering of knowing that something terrible was going to happen, but not being able to prevent it. How many times have you felt this? That anguish when you sense that something bad is coming. When you light the first candle, You are asking for protection against the anxiety of the future. The second sorrow was the flight into Egypt. Mary had to abandon everything and flee with her son to save his life. It was the sorrow of displacement, of fear for the safety of those we love. Do you know this sorrow? The constant worry about the safety of your family? The second candle protects against physical dangers and real threats. The third sorrow happened when Jesus was lost in the temple. Mary searched for him for 3 days, desperate. It was the sorrow of separation, the fear of losing those we love most. When you light the third candle, you are asking for protection against painful losses and separations. Protection to keep those you love united. But here's something that Padre Pio discovered, and that will change your understanding of all this. The 7 sorrows are not just sufferings. They are also Mary's 7 protective powers. Each sorrow she experienced transformed into a supernatural ability to protect her children in that specific area. That's why the 7-candle ritual is so effective. You are not just honoring Mary's sorrows, you are activating her powers of protection. I'll tell you a case that Padre Pio witnessed personally, and that proves this. It was 1952. A woman arrived at the convent in despair. Her son had been diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctors said there was no more hope. Padre Pio heard her confession and said only, "My daughter, do the 7-candle novena to Our Lady of Sorrows, but do it exactly as I will teach you." He gave her a paper with specific instructions, how to light each candle, which prayer to say for each sorrow, in what order to follow. The woman followed the instructions to the letter. On September 15th, she lit the 7 candles before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows, following exactly the ritual that Padre Pio had taught her. 3 days later, the doctors couldn't explain what had happened. The disease had simply disappeared. The tests showed that the boy was completely cured. When the woman returned to the convent to give thanks, Padre Pio said something she never forgot. "My daughter, you didn't perform a miracle. You simply activated a protection that was always available. Our Lady of Sorrows was waiting for someone to know how to ask for help correctly. This is the secret I want to share with you. Our Lady of Sorrows is not just a devotion, it's a system of spiritual protection that works when you know how to access it. And September 15th was not chosen by chance. It's the day the Church celebrates Our Lady of Sorrows. It's the day the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds thins. It's the day your prayers have more power. But there's something even deeper about this date. Something that Padre Pio discovered through his visions. On September 15th, Mary receives a special grace from God, a divine authorization to grant extraordinary protections to those who invoke her correctly. It's as if it were the anniversary of her mercy. That's why the 7 candles lit on this day hold a power unlike any other time of the year. Each flame becomes a direct channel between you and Mary's maternal heart. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is the ritual? How do you light each candle? What prayer should you say? Padre Pio left precise instructions. Instructions he himself received in a vision, and which were passed on only to a select few. But before I reveal these instructions, I need you to understand something fundamental. This is not a magical ritual. It's not an automatic formula. It's an act of deep faith, an intimate dialogue with Our Lady of Sorrows, a complete surrender into the hands of the one who understands all your sorrows. When you light each candle, you're saying, "Mary, I trust in you. I entrust this area of my life into your hands. I believe that your sorrow has been transformed into power to protect me." Mary's fourth sorrow was encountering Jesus carrying the cross. Imagine the agony of a mother seeing her son condemned, humiliated, carrying the instrument of his own death. This is the sorrow of injustice, of helplessness in the face of the suffering of those we love. When you light the fourth candle, you're asking for protection against persecution and injustice. The fifth sorrow was witnessing the crucifixion. Mary stood at the foot of the cross, watching her son agonize. She could do nothing but be present. Share his pain. This is the sorrow of empowered love, of shared suffering. The fifth candle protects against family tragedies and devastating losses. The sixth sorrow happened when Jesus was taken down from the cross. Mary received her son's lifeless body in her arms. The child she had cradled in her arms now lay dead. This is the sorrow of death, of the end of human hopes. The sixth candle protects against premature death and grants the grace of a good death. The seventh sorrow was when Jesus was buried. Mary had to say a final goodbye, leave her son's body in the tomb, and return home alone. This is the sorrow of abandonment, of absolute loneliness. The seventh candle protects against helplessness and ensures that we will never be truly alone. Now pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of these seven sorrows. Do you see how each one touches a deep wound of the human experience? Do you see how Mary lived, in her own flesh, every kind of suffering you might face? That's why she understands you better than any other creature. That's why her protection is so complete, so maternal, so effective. Each candle you light is like lighting a light in the darkness of your sorrow. Each flame is a cry for help that rises to Mary's heart. And each prayer is answered with specific protection. But there's something else Padre Pio discovered. Something very few people know. The seven candles should not be lit haphazardly. There's a specific order, a sequence that respects the chronology of Mary's sorrows and activates the protections in the correct order. And there's also a specific time to light each candle, a rhythm that harmonizes with the beat of Mary's maternal heart. When you follow this sequence exactly, you're not just saying a prayer. You're participating in a sacred ritual that connects you directly with the mystery of redemption. You're entering Mary's heart. You're sharing her sorrows, and you're receiving, in return, the protection born from the purest love that ever existed. Let me tell you exactly how Padre Pio performed this ritual, how he lit each candle, what words he spoke, and in what order. Because there will be a specific moment in your life when you will need this protection. A moment when only Our Lady of Sorrows will be able to help you. And when that moment arrives, you need to know exactly what to do. Padre Pio always began at dusk on September 15th, when the first shadows began to form, when the physical world prepares its passage to night, and the spiritual world becomes closer. He placed 7 white candles before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows. Always white candles, never colored. White represents the purity of sorrow transformed into light. And then he began a ritual that lasted exactly 49 minutes. 7 minutes for each sorrow. 7 minutes for each protection. First candle. First sorrow. Simeon's prophecy. Padre Pio lit the candle and said, "Our Lady of Sorrows, you heard Simeon's words and accepted that a sword would pierce your soul. Accept my anguish for the future now. Transform my anxiety into trust. Protect me from the despair of uncertainty." And he remained silent for 7 minutes, meditating on Mary's sorrow, feeling how she had transformed that terrible prophecy into a source of strength. How many times have you lost sleep thinking about what might happen? How many times has anxiety overtaken you like a storm? Our Lady of Sorrows knows this agony, and when you light the first candle, you're asking her to transform your anguish into peace, your anxiety into divine trust. Second candle, second sorrow, the flight into Egypt. Our Lady of Sorrows, you fled in the dead of night to save Jesus' life. You know the fear for those we love. Protect my family from all danger. Be our refuge in moments of threat. 7 minutes of silence. 7 minutes imagining Mary walking down the dark road, carrying Jesus in her arms, trusting only in God. This is the candle of physical protection, of real security. When you light it, you're placing your family under Mary's protective mantle. Third candle, third sorrow. Jesus lost in the temple. Our Lady of Sorrows, you searched for Jesus for 3 days. You know the agony of separation. Protect my relationships. Unite what is separated. Do not let me lose those I love. Have you ever spent 3 days looking for someone you love? Have you ever felt that emptiness in your chest when an important person distances themselves from you? Mary experienced this, and she transformed this sorrow into a supernatural ability to reunite families, to restore relationships, to heal separations. Fourth candle, fourth sorrow, the meeting on the way of the cross. Our Lady of Sorrows, you saw Jesus carrying the cross of injustice. You know the pain of seeing those we love being persecuted. Protect me from injustice. Defend me from my enemies. 7 minutes meditating on Mary's strength, on her courage in following Jesus to Calvary, even knowing he couldn't save him. When you light this candle, you're asking Mary to be your advocate, your defender against those who want to harm you. Fifth candle, fifth sorrow, the crucifixion. Our Lady of Sorrows, you stood at the foot of the cross. You shared Jesus' agony until his last breath. Be with me in my moments of greatest suffering. Don't leave me alone in pain. This is the most powerful candle, the one that touches the deepest sorrow, because we all carry our cross. We all have our own personal Calvary, and Mary promises to stand at the foot of your cross, just as she stood at the foot of Jesus' cross, sharing your pain, giving you the strength to endure the seemingly impossible. Sixth candle, sixth sorrow, Jesus in Mary's arms. Your Lady of Sorrows, you receive the body of Jesus taken down from the cross. You know the pain of death and ultimate loss. Protect me and my loved ones from sudden death. Grant us the grace of a good death. 7 minutes contemplating the greatest mystery, how Mary found the strength to continue living after losing her son. This candle protects against unexpected tragedies, against losses that seem unbearable. Seventh candle, seventh sorrow, the entombment. Our Lady of Sorrows, you said goodbye to Jesus in the tomb. You returned home alone. You know absolute loneliness. Do not let me face my most difficult moments alone. Be my companion in the darkness. And here, something extraordinary happens. When you light the seventh candle, you complete the circle of sorrows, and all 7 protections activate at the same time. It's as if you've opened 7 channels of direct protection with Mary's heart. 7 invisible threads connecting your soul with hers. Padre Pio always ended the ritual with a final prayer. Our Lady of Sorrows, accept these 7 candles as a symbol of my trust. Transform your 7 sorrows into 7 shields around me. May your protection accompany me every day of my life. And then he would remain for 20 more minutes in silent contemplation, watching the 7 flames dance before the image of Mary, feeling a peace he couldn't explain. But there's a detail that Padre Pio discovered, a detail very few people know. The candles must not be extinguished. They must burn completely until the very end, because each candle that is consumed represents a pain of yours that Mary is taking upon herself. It's a process of spiritual substitution. Your pains are transferred to Mary. Her protection is transferred to you. I'll tell you a story that will impress you. It was 1963. A man arrived at Padre Pio's monastery completely desperate. His company was failing. His wife had filed for divorce. His son was using drugs. It seemed his entire life was crumbling. Padre Pio listened in silence, and then he said, "My son, you need to make a total surrender, a complete surrender. Perform the ritual of the 7 candles to Our Lady of Sorrows. But do it with a completely open heart." The man followed the instructions. On September 15th, he lit the 7 candles, following exactly the ritual Padre Pio had taught him. During the 49 minutes of the ritual, he cried as he had never cried before. He felt as if he were unloading years of pain and anxiety. When the candles finished burning, something had changed within him. He couldn't explain what, but he felt a profound peace, an inexplicable confidence. 3 weeks later, his life began to change in surprising ways. An investor appeared, interested in saving his company. His wife sought him out for an honest conversation about their marriage. His son decided to seek help to get rid of the drugs. A year later, the man returned to the monastery to give thanks. His company was thriving. His marriage had been reconciled. His son was clean and studying again. Padre Pio smiled and said, "My son, Our Lady of Sorrows didn't perform a miracle. She simply activated the graces that were already reserved for you. You just needed to know how to ask." That's the secret I want you to understand. The graces you need already exist. The protections you seek are already available. Our Lady of Sorrows has everything prepared for you. You just need to know how to activate these graces, how to access these protections. And the ritual of the 7 candles is the key that unlocks these spiritual treasures. But there's something even deeper. When you perform this ritual with true faith, you're not just asking for protection. You're entering into a covenant with Our Lady of Sorrows. You're becoming her special child. And Mary protects her special children in a different way, more intensely, more completely. Padre Pio said that those who perform the ritual of the 7 candles with sincerity would never again be truly alone, because Our Lady of Sorrows would become their constant companion. In moments of joy, She would share your happiness. In moments of sorrow, she would share your suffering. In moments of decision, she would illuminate your path. It's like having a spiritual mother who never sleeps, who never tires of caring for you, who never gives up protecting you. Now take a deep breath again. Feel the weight of this revelation. You have just received a spiritual treasure that very few people know, a secret that Padre Pio kept for decades, and that was only revealed to a select few. But with this treasure comes a responsibility. This ritual cannot be performed lightly. It cannot be treated as a simple tradition or superstition. It is a sacred act, a profound surrender, a spiritual covenant. When you light those 7 candles on September 15th, you will be doing much more than saying a prayer. You will be sealing a covenant of love with Our Lady of Sorrows, and she will take that covenant very seriously. From the moment you perform this ritual, Mary will begin to work in your life actively, reorganizing situations, moving people, opening paths, closing doors that are not good for you, sometimes in ways you will understand immediately, sometimes in mysterious ways that you will only understand later, but always with the goal of protecting you, guiding you, making you happy, because that is the nature of Mary's maternal love, unconditional, tireless, infinite. I'll tell you one last story. A story that Padre Pio considered the most impressive of all. It was 1965. A young mother arrived at the monastery carrying her baby in her arms. The child was very ill. The doctors had said there was nothing more they could do. The woman pleaded with Padre Pio. "Padre, save my son. I will do anything." Padre Pio looked at her with compassion and said, "My daughter, there is something you can do, but it requires total faith, total courage." He taught her the ritual of the 7 candles, but with a special condition. She should offer each candle for the life of her son, but with total acceptance of God's will. If it is God's will that your son live, he will live. If it is God's will that he go to heaven, you must accept it with love. The woman hesitated. It was difficult to accept the possibility of losing her son. But after a long night of prayer, she decided to perform the ritual with complete surrender. On September 15th, she lit the 7 candles, her heart heavy, yet her faith absolute. During each of the 7 meditations, she offered her son's life into the hands of Our Lady of Sorrows. If it's best for him to live, let him live. If it's best for him to go to heaven, I accept it with love. I only want what is best for my son. When she arrived home after the ritual, she found her baby playing in his crib. For the first time in weeks, he was smiling. She immediately took him to the hospital. The doctors couldn't believe it. The disease had completely disappeared. The child was perfectly healthy. But the most impressive thing wasn't the physical healing. It was the mother's spiritual transformation. She told me later, "Padre Pio, when I offered my son into the hands of Our Lady of Sorrows, I discovered a love deeper than my own maternal love. I discovered God's love." This woman didn't just receive the healing of her son. She received something much greater, the ability to love as God loves. And that is the true miracle of the 7-candle novena. It's not just the protections you receive. It's the transformation that happens within you. When you meditate on the 7 sorrows of Mary, your own sorrows gain a different meaning. When you contemplate how she transformed suffering into love, you learn to do the same. Your tears becomes sweeter. Your wounds become lighter. Your fears become smaller. Because you discover that you are not alone in your suffering. Our Lady of Sorrows is there, sharing every tear, carrying every burden, illuminating every darkness. Now we come to the end of this revelation. But in truth, we're at the beginning of something much greater. Because knowing this secret is only the first step. Practicing it is what will change your life. Next September 15th, you will have a unique opportunity, a chance to establish a direct connection with Our Lady of Sorrows, to receive the 7 protections she offers. But remember what Padre Pio always said. This ritual is not a magic formula. It's an act of love. Do it with love, and you will receive love in return. Prepare your heart, prepare your soul, prepare your 7 white candles. And at sunset on September 15th, enter the sacred mystery of the 7 sorrows of Mary. Let each lit candle be a bridge between your heart and hers. Let each prayer be a whisper of trust in Mary's maternal ear. Let each meditation be a deeper step in understanding divine love. And when the 7 candles have finished burning, you will know that something has changed forever. Not just around you, but mainly within you, because you will have discovered what Padre Pio discovered on that September night of 1916. That Mary's sorrows have been transformed into your protections, that her suffering has become your security, that her maternal love has become your eternal shield. And this discovery, once made, is never lost. It becomes part of who you are, part of your spiritual identity, part of your heritage as a child of Our Lady of Sorrows. Perhaps today you came here by chance, or perhaps it was Our Lady of Sorrows who guided you to these words. Perhaps she already knew you would need this protection, that you would need to know this secret, that you would need to discover that you were never truly alone. Think about the coincidences that brought you to this moment. Think about the circumstances that made you discover this revelation right now. Was it really chance? Or was a loving mother preparing the way for her child to find the protection he needed? Perhaps you are going through a difficult time in your life. Perhaps you are facing challenges that seem impossible to overcome. Perhaps you are feeling alone, abandoned, not knowing where to go or what to do. Perhaps it's a health problem that won't resolve itself. Tests that don't give clear answers. Treatments that don't work as they should. Sleepless nights wondering what might happen to you or someone you love. Perhaps it's a financial situation that seems hopeless. Bills piling up, opportunities that don't appear, doors closing, one after another. The feeling that you work, you strive, you fight, but nothing works out. Perhaps it's a relationship that's broken, a marriage that's cooled, children who have distanced themselves, friendships that have been lost, the loneliness that hurts in your chest, even when you're surrounded by people. Perhaps it's a deep disappointment with people you trusted, a betrayal that broke your heart, an injustice that no one recognizes, the bitter feeling that the world is cruel and that good people always lose. Perhaps it's a crisis of faith that has left your soul dry as a desert, the feeling that God abandoned you when you needed Him most, that your prayers don't reach heaven, as if there were an iron ceiling above your head. The temptation to stop believing, to stop praying, to surrender to spiritual emptiness. Or perhaps it's something even deeper and more painful, a depression that seems to have no end. Days that drag on without color, without flavor, without hope. The feeling that you are worthless to the universe. The cruel voice in your head that tells you it would be better if you didn't exist. The temptation to give up on everything and everyone, including yourself. Perhaps they are traumas from the past that you have never been able to overcome. Childhood wounds that still bleed. Cruel words that someone said to you years ago, but that still echo in your mind. Abuse suffered, trust betrayed, innocence lost. And now you carry these pains like heavy stones inside your chest. Or maybe it's an addiction you can't overcome on your own. A compulsion that dominates your life and destroys your relationships. The shame of knowing you're hurting yourself, but not being able to stop. The despair of someone who has tried 1,000 times to stop being this way and always returns to the same hole. If this is your case, if you recognized yourself in any of these situations, if you are reading these words with tears in your eyes because someone finally understood your pain, know that it is no coincidence that you have come this far. Our Lady of Sorrows has mysterious ways of guiding her children to the graces they need. She knows your heart better than you do. She knows your deepest wounds, your most secret fears, your most urgent needs. And perhaps this is exactly the moment she wants to establish a special connection with you. Perhaps she allowed you to go through these difficulties precisely so that you would reach this point. To discover a kind of maternal protection and care you never imagined possible. To understand that you don't have to carry your burdens alone. Think for a moment of all the people in the world, of all the videos you could be watching right now, of all the things you could be doing. You are here, listening to a spiritual secret known to very few, learning about a devotion that can change your life forever. Is this coincidence? Or was a loving mother paving the way, moving circumstances, influencing choices to bring you to this exact point? The 7 candles await you this September 15th. But it's not just a date on the calendar. It's a door that opens once a year. A unique opportunity to enter a dimension of maternal protection and care that few discover in this life. 7 protections have awaited you for centuries, from the moment Mary stood at the foot of her son's cross, offering her sorrows for the salvation of humanity. From that sacred moment on Calvary, when she said yes to God's plan, even knowing it would cost her everything, Mary's 7 sorrows have been transformed into your 7 securities. Her 7 protective powers are available to you. The only thing missing is your courage to access them. You just need the courage to light them. The courage to enter the deepest mystery of the Christian faith. A courage to trust in a maternal love that never fails, even when all other human loves have failed you. The courage to do what your soul may have been asking for a long time, to surrender completely into the arms of a mother who loves you more than you can imagine. The courage to believe that you deserve to be protected, that you deserve to be loved, that you have infinite worth in the eyes of God and Mary, that your life can change, can be different, can be better. And when you light the last candle, when you say the final prayer, when the 7 flames begin to dance before the image of Our Lady of Sorrows, like 7 little golden suns, you will know that your life has changed forever. Not because you performed magic, not because you used some mystical formula, but because you finally discovered love. The love that transforms darkness into light. The love that heals wounds that seemed incurable. The love that protects even when everything seems lost. The love that never gives up on you, even when you give up on yourself, even when everyone else gives up on you. The love of a mother who has waited her entire life to care for you. In the days following the ritual, watch for the signs. Our Lady of Sorrows will begin working in your life immediately. Sometimes it will be obvious, a door opening unexpectedly, a person appearing at the right moment, a solution arising from nowhere. Other times it will be subtle, an inner peace you haven't felt in years, a new strength to face old problems, a wisdom springing from your heart to make difficult decisions. It may be that, at first, things seem to get a little worse. Don't be alarmed. Mary sometimes needs to remove bad things from our lives before she can put good things in. It's like a surgeon who needs to clean a wound before healing it. Trust the process. Trust Mary's maternal love. Trust the power of the 7 sorrows transformed into 7 protections. And always remember, you are no longer alone. You will never truly be alone again. Our Lady of Sorrows has become your spiritual mother, and a mother never abandons her children.